Top 10 of the NFL Draft. Welcome into NFL Live. I'm Dan Graziano in for Laura. We got Kevin Clark here in studio. Mina Kimes joining the show. Bill Barnwell is going to be along in a little bit. We're going to start with the news this morning. This is more Vikings quarterback news. We seem to have this every day. This morning they signed Carson Wentz to a one-year deal, adding depth to an already crowded quarterback room that includes Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. All three of these guys would like to forget 2025. None of them went the distance. Kyler started only 5 games due to injuries. And these guys, 4 of them, Brosmer too. We didn't mention Max Brosmer. Combined for 22 starts, 11-11 with 23 passing touchdowns and 24 interceptions. So, Mina, we look at the Vikings quarterback situation as a whole right now. What do you make of that, and what should the plan be?
Yeah, I still think this is Kyler Murray's job to lose. When you compare his play, both the film and the stats, to what we've seen from J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz last season, it's really not close. And I do think it bears repeating that with even average quarterback play, which I do think they can get from Murray, this is a playoff team. We talk a lot about the defense being a top 10 or even better unit, but something that I think bears also mentioning is that the run game was above average last year, despite the fact that they faced the 25th highest number of light boxes in football. No team with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison should be facing that low of a rate of light boxes on the ground. So you put Murray back there, and I think what he opens up both as a passer and a dual threat quarterback should help the run game too, and also give it easier looks. So I just think he lifts the floor of this entire unit and then the entire football team in the process.
It's not a quarterback competition. And if it is, congratulations, I'm calling it on March 19th at 4:02 p.m. Kyler Murray has won the quarterback competition because he's a better fit.
Trying to build drama and suspense here in the offseason. He's
a better player. He wouldn't have gone, frankly. He should have had 31 offers because it's Kyler Murray who's played a lot of ball at a high level for $1.3 million because of the offsets in his contract. So he's got a lot of options. He's not going to go anywhere. He doesn't think he's going to play. So that's the first part of it that's just practical. But then you look at it, he comes into Minnesota with a much better skill set than Sam Darnold had when he came to Minnesota 2 years ago, resurrected his career, became a winner, and made a whole boatload of money in the process because of it. You look at this things that overlap. Now, there's differences. Kyler Murray did not play a lot under center in Arizona. Kevin O'Connell likes doing that. A couple of schematic things. There's not a mismatch. There's a little bit of a mismatch. But the things they can do well, corner routes, throwing outside the numbers, throwing to guys who get separation, which happens in Minnesota. There's more of a scheme fit than people think between Kyler Murray and Kevin O'Connell. This receiving core, this skill group is going to accentuate everything Kyler Murray does, open up running lanes. Kevin O'Connell's never had a scrambler like this, ever. Sometimes there's scheme fits, sometimes there's scheme expansions. This is a scheme expansion with Kyler Murray in that Vikings offense.
So, I mean, kind of a bold call with a guy that started 5 games and his old team's paying him $36 million to go away. I don't know that it's a sure thing. Bill, do you agree with Kevin? And if you do, what do you think they should do? Bill Barnwell joining us, by the way. I should mention, welcome him in. What do you think they should do with J.J. McCarthy if, in fact, it's Kyler's job?
I do agree with Kevin, but I don't agree that the quarterback competition is over. It's just a different quarterback competition. This is not for the starting job. J.J. McCarthy, with this signing of Carson Wentz, is competing for the backup job, the number 2 job in Minnesota. And that is the point where we start thinking about a sunk cost, because there have been quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, who have gone from the 1 to the 2 and then back to the 1. Bryce Young famously comes to mind recently, but I can't think of a young quarterback who fell all the way from the starting job to the number 3 job in the organization and then made it back with that same team. J.J. McCarthy owed about $4 million over the next 2 years. This is a sunk cost situation in Minnesota. I know they drafted him high. They traded draft capital to get him, but that's in the past at this point. The GM who drafted J.J. McCarthy is no longer with the organization. At this point, this is about what can you do to build the best roster around a really good defense and a really good set of playmakers. And I don't know that J.J. McCarthy, who was 38th in QBR last year, is even the right option to be the number 2 guy, given his injury history over the past couple of seasons.
How's that for drama? A backup quarterback competition, Dan?
I mean, we're like 5 minutes into the show. We've already demoted J.J. McCarthy twice Poor guy has lost his starting job, and then he went ahead and lost the backup job just in the first few minutes of the show.
I do want to point out, people talking about Kevin O'Connell not running a lot of shotgun. They did go out and hire former Dolphins offensive coordinator Frank Smoot, who ran a lot of shotgun in Miami. Could be a scheme fit there. All
right, well, we'll see what happens there in Minnesota. We showed you that graphic. Obviously, no sure things in that quarterback room. We have had a trade every single day this week so far. Monday, it was Justin Fields being sent from the Jets to the Chiefs. On Tuesday, Jalen Waddle to the Broncos from Miami for the 30th overall pick in the draft. And then on Wednesday, the Eagles acquired Panthers backup Andy Dalton. Focusing on that middle one, Jalen Waddle spoke for the first time yesterday since the trade. Here's what he had to say.
Man, it feels special, electric. I just feel like family, feel like home.
What are your initial impressions of joining that offense?
I'm excited. It's a life to build on. They're all playmakers, so it's always exciting to play with a lot of different talented players. So I'm excited just to go out there and compete with them guys.
I know it's fresh here, but how excited are you to get going, get on the field?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited to get this thing going.
All right, Mina, we're looking at this trade, obviously big for the Broncos, but what do you see being the most significant impact he makes joining Denver?
Yeah, I love this fit, particularly with the players already on the roster, and I think it's really valuable because he adds an element to this Broncos offense that really hasn't existed. One thing that I think is really important, maybe one of my favorite attributes of his, yards after the catch. So the Broncos had a decent amount of yards after the catch last season, but if you take out short throws and screens, they were actually 25th league-wide. That, to me, is something Waddle brings to the equation just because he has so much juice with the ball in his hands, his burst, his vision as a runner, both spectacular. And then I think the other thing that's going to be important is that intermediate passing game. Denver Broncos offense above average on short throws, above average need paper play on deep throws, below average on intermediate throws, and that's another area where I think Waddle shines. That 10 to 20 yard range to me is something he really brings to this offense that's been missing. So I just think it's a perfect fit for this offense, what they needed, and it's not surprising to me that they've now tried to go after him for a while and finally got him.
Yeah, Mina, it's not just the distance of the throws, but the kind of throws that are being made. I look at those in breakers, those crossers, those digs. That's what Sean Payton wants his quarterback to throw off of play action. And that's been missing for Bo Nix. I know Courtland Sutton is a big body. He does make some of those catches, but he's a little more inconsistent than you might expect for someone with that size. Bo Nix has been below average as a play-action passer for QBR each of his first 2 seasons in the NFL. That should not be the case. He can throw that pass really well, and that offense creates a ton of space for their receivers. But I do want to see Bo Nix and that offense with Jalen Waddle take those shots. I want to see him get downfield. Bo Nix has been a below-average passer throwing downfield at times as well. So I just think there's an opportunity to fill in kind of the gaps in that offense, and you're kind of pushing everyone down, like a rotation where you add that ace, so that number 2. Now the 2 is a 3, the 3 is a 4. The offense is just a lot more convenient with Jalen Waddle being in the mix there. Doesn't always have the most consistent set of receivers in football.
Dan, how many people are we going to demote today?
I know, it's rough. I mean, Courtland Sutton's just sitting there like, what did I do?
This is a good demotion.
Everybody's getting demoted. Now, I want to talk, the points that Mina and Bill made were absolutely correct. What Jalen Waddle brings this offense from a route perspective, from unlocking the deep ball. I mean, at worst, he's the 3rd best vertical route runner in the entire league. So we know what that brings there to that offense in Bo Nix this year. But I want to talk about what it means for the Broncos as a franchise. I think Sean Payton looked around the AFC, and he looked at the teams that we think are juggernauts. Baltimore, Buffalo, Kansas City, the teams we associate with the AFC Championship game every single year. I don't know if they're getting back. I think they either, whether it's new coaches, whether it's roster holes, whether it's injuries, I think Sean Payton's looking around and saying our window is right now. I think that in this league right now, this is a microwave league, and it is really easy to build a AFC Championship level contender over a 2-year period. And these windows close faster than anybody thought. Look at Detroit. Nobody's picking them to win the Super Bowl this year. They didn't get there. So I think this is a Denver team that's looking at their window right now saying, we're not going to wait. We're not going to do a 3-year build. We're going to go all in right now and win the AFC.
Yeah, I think Kevin's absolutely right. And I think if there's one trend to take away from this offseason, it's this. The teams that believe they are, close to the Super Bowl were aggressive in trades, not talking about major signings. Obviously, Denver is a great example. Buffalo trading what a lot of us thought was a bit of a premium for DJ Moore. The Rams trading for